Welcome to Dark Docent. My name is Jake. Join me as I guide my friend James down the paranormal rabbit hole, attempting to prove the authenticity of a new case each week. Today's case, the 27 Club. How you doing today, James?
Pretty alright. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. I got my coffee.
Yeah, you do?
There might be a spaceship landing on Earth in the next 2 months.
Meh.
We'll see.
We'll see, I guess.
Might be a distraction. We don't know. Maybe we'll talk about it before it all happens.
It would be pretty distracting.
It would be.
Whoa, sorry, Paul, I can't come to work today. A spaceship landed in Washington, of all places. Could you believe it?
Our foundation of reality has been completely shaken, and I don't have time for a 9 to 5.
I highly recommend everybody watch the movie Independence Day. Welcome to Earth.
Well, James, I'm not here to talk about aliens today.
No?
No. Because as we've talked about before, it's spooky season.
It is.
So I'm going to talk about spooky stuff.
Are aliens not spooky?
Aliens are spooky. Aspects of them are spooky. But I got something that might kind of fit in more with this. But also, the timing of the episode is perfect. I got a story for you. April 8th, 1994. Seattle, Washington. Police arrive at 171 Lake Boulevard East. It's been reported by an electrician visiting the property that he had found a body in the loft above the garage. When the police get there, the door is locked. So the police break the glass on the French door and open it from the inside. The report was correct. A man lied dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. But this wasn't an ordinary person. This was the front man for the band Nirvana, Kurt Cobain. Dead by suicide at the height of his career at age 27. This death was devastating to the family, the friends, and the fans alike. But it wasn't necessarily shocking. A month prior to this, Kurt had been hospitalized in Rome after a show and was in a medically induced coma after suffering a drug overdose. Kurt's battle with drug addiction was well known and well reported on. After he came to from this coma, it was reported after his death that his mom said, "I don't want you joining that stupid club." What did she mean by that? The public began to wonder. And the age that Kurt died at, it sounded too familiar. The public seemed to get deja vu. But why? It's because Kurt wasn't the first artist to be cut down in his prime at the age of 27. Deaths of young rock stars at 27 goes back decades, spawning a legend that forever has a fixture in the zeitgeist of pop culture. James, have you heard of the 27 Club?
Yeah, kind of. Kurt Cobain, that's one is well known.
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix?
Jimi Hendrix is one. I'm going to be going through each one for you.
Probably more.
There is more. There's
one of the Beatles?
No.
I didn't think so.
What do you think about the 27 Club? I'm sure you've heard the legend that musicians tend to die at the age of 27.
I kind of thought that's just what rock stars did. It's the punk thing to do.
Honestly, kind of true. As a musician, you don't know how many other musicians were disappointed when they had a 28th birthday and they weren't dead. I've heard it from a lot of people.
You used to be in a band.
Yes, sir.
It was kind of punk.
It was punk, yeah.
It had a couple punk names.
Yes, sir.
But you're not in the band anymore, are you?
I am not.
What age were you when you got out of the band? Was it 26?
The first time it broke up was during COVID. I was 23, 24, around there. And then we got back together and tried for a bit. And then I broke it up again at 26 because Just wasn't having fun
See,
anymore.
26 is what I said. You got out of it.
I got out of it.
And look at you now. You're on a podcast, all head intact.
On a podcast, head intact, at least physically.
Physically. Physically.
I got a 9-to-5 job, and I make enough money to sometimes break even every month.
Living the Canadian dream.
That's it. Kurt was not the first one to die at 27, but he was the one to spark the 27 Club. Before this, no one really talked about it, because in the mid-1990s, not only had no one died at the age of 27 in quite a while, but we now had the internet, so people could talk about it. It was just the very beginning days of it. People would talk about other artists that died at the same age and compare all around to what their lifestyles were like, and people began to see a lot of similarities. Some of these similarities were they were all artists at the height of their fame. No one really died once they burned out. They also noted that it was always these really big artists, and it seemed to make waves, like not just everyday artists that you see like an up-and-coming band and it made a big deal. These people were like gods in their time, seen as a little bigger than everyone else, whether that be just from general charisma. We don't know. It's a factor that no one can really put a thumb on. But people started looking back at other artists that died at the age of 27, and going back, they found a spree of artists that died at the age of 27. These are noted as the Big Six of the 27 Club. I'm gonna give you the first one.
Lay it on me. Sorry, is this in like chronological order of deaths?
I will be putting it in chronological order.
Okay.
Back in the late 1960s, there was a man named Brian Jones. Here's a picture of Brian Jones.
Could pass for one of the Beatles. Stupid haircut, I'm gonna be honest.
They all had stupid haircuts back then.
Yeah.
Now here's a
We
picture.
have the broccoli heads today.
That's way worse. I don't care what anyone says. Have you heard of Brian Jones?
It's ringing a bell. I can't name a band off the top of my head, though.
So Brian Jones is one of the founding members of Rolling Stones.
My dad would be so disappointed in me for not knowing that.
Actually, I don't blame you for not knowing that, because he wasn't a part of the Rolling Stones for that long. Brian was, again, as said, one of the founding members. He was known as like their Swiss Army knife of instruments. He played a lot of different ones. People our age would most know him for the sitar part in Paint It Black. He's the one who wrote that. However, in 1969, he was kicked out of the Rolling Stones for extreme substance abuse. Think about what that takes in. You're in a band with Keith Richards and Mick Jagger, and you're getting kicked out for substance abuse.
Sounds pretty hardcore.
Well, Keith Richards could, do all the drugs and still go into a studio and record. Brian, not so much.
Bit of a lightweight.
Well, he became unreliable. He would come into studio and either do the tracks terribly or not even show up at all. So they kicked him out. And a month later, on July 3rd, 1969, his girlfriend found him dead at the bottom of his pool. It's still unknown whether this was due to an accidental overdose or possibly a purposeful one, but the coroner declared it a death by misadventure.
That's a new one.
And he was at the age of 27. So that's number one. No one's really thinking about it right now. Just another dead rock star. This didn't affect anyone else really for about a year. Until September of 1970. Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix was a world-renowned guitarist. Seen as not only a pioneer in guitar playing, but as one of the best to ever do it. If you see anyone ripping solos, bending strings harshly, heavy fuzz, playing the guitar with their tongue or behind their head, that's Jimi Hendrix. However, like other rock stars, Jimi also liked to party. An urban legend is that Jimi used to put acid in his bandana. And as he played, the sweat would cause the essence of the acid to drip down his body. That is an urban legend. That is not confirmed. It is very popular for people to pass it around as fact, not fact.
We need some fact checkers to try it out and let us know.
Dark Docent does not condone the use of acid in experimental ways. Here's a picture of Jimi Hendrix and the infamous bandana that I just told you about.
Yeah, that looks familiar.
Mhm.
That's probably the only way I've ever seen him.
Yeah, playing his guitar, dazed out, chilling, just giving her. just like the rest of these guys, height of his popularity. I'll actually ask you a question.
Okay.
How many hits do you think Jimi Hendrix had?
3.
1.
I was going to say 1 because I only know 1, but
Which one do you know?
what is it called? Kiss the Sky?
Oh, Purple Haze.
Purple Haze, yeah.
That's not it.
Really?
No, his only hit is All Along the Watchtower, which is a Bob Dylan cover.
Oh, fuck, I have that on one of my playlists.
That is his only ever hit. Otherwise, all of his songs did not crack the top 40.
I mean, that is a good one.
It is, but nobody realizes that Jimi Hendrix is actually a one-hit wonder. Now, unfortunately, all this partying caught up to Jimmy. On September 18th, 1970, in a hotel room in London, England, Jimi Hendrix was found dead. He had aspirated in his vomit and died of asphyxia in his sleep. Yet another rock star taken down in his prime, and then again at age 27. The next one was actually only a few weeks later. Janis Joplin. Have you heard Janis Joplin?
I have. Don't ask me to name any songs, though.
Well, Janis Joplin was a very popular singer, known for her raspy blues rock voice and stage presence, and she was another pioneer for women in rock and roll. However, on October 4th, 1970, in Los Angeles, California, she died of a heroin overdose. This is all within a few weeks. And their next one is within the next year. We have one more rock star that went out on top. Jim Morrison of The Doors. You know Jim Morrison?
Mm-hmm.
Jim Morrison was a rock star by definition. Man was wild, oozing charisma, known for his insane onstage antics and his raw scream. But sadly, while on a trip away with his girlfriend in France, he was found dead in a bathtub in his hotel room. Cause of death, heroin overdose. Those are 4 that died really quick. When people look back, they're like, all of this lines up. 27, height of their career, cut down in their prime. Now, there is a lot of drugs involved and a lot of alcohol.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be a recurring theme.
It does.
Have we solved the mystery, perhaps? Was it heroin all along?
I mean, it could be a part of it. But there's actually a lot more people on the 27 Club that people realize. Other people that have died at the age of 27 in music. Jesse Belvin, who died in 1932. He died of a car crash, but there is suspected foul play. Rockin' Robin Roberts died in 1967. Car crash. Malcolm Hale. He was an original member and lead guitarist of Spanky and Our Gang. Died October 30th, 1968.
I was wondering what happened to them.
Rock and roll singer Dickie Pride died in 1961. Drug overdose. Now, there are other people that are even more weird, though. Rhea Bardock. She died in a fire in 1970. Alan Blind Owl Wilson died of a drug overdose. Leslie Harvey. He was the guitarist of several bands from Scotland, most notably Stone the Crows, and he died of electrocution when a microphone wasn't grounded properly and he died on stage. Ron Pigpen McKernan, famously the keyboardist and singer of the Grateful Dead, died in 1973 of a gastrointestinal hemorrhage. The list goes on and on and on. There's at least over 60 members of the 27 Club.
I just did a quick search because I thought I was on to another one, Mac Miller, but he died at 26.
Yeah, he died 26. Don't worry, when he died, that was the first thing I checked. I was like, is that another one? But yeah, there's a lot of people dying at the age of 27. What do you think? Do you think that this is just all coincidence, or what do you think?
Well, it certainly could be. There's a lot of people that die at not 27 as well.
There is.
I'm sure you could find a list of people who die at every age.
You probably could. But why is it that this age stands out so much to people?
Because it had some really big names in it in rapid succession.
This is true. And the thing is that back in the early 70s, though, when this was all happening, they didn't even realize it. It wasn't until Kurt died and people started thinking about this again that this all came up.
But yeah, no, nothing too crazy sticking out to me at the moment. It all falls within could be coincidence territory. You know, there's no pattern between the dates that I've seen that you've given me.
I'm sure if you look at it some more, you can find some synchronicity. I tried finding some numbers, but I could be looking in the wrong spots.
Yeah, I was going to start jotting them down as you were rattling them off, but
Mhm.
then it was like, okay, and this one was a week later, and this one was later that year. I was like, never mind.
Yeah, I tried to see if they were 27 days apart or something like that, but couldn't find it.
27 fortnights.
There is some people going on with like, they died 27 days apart or something like that. There's a lot of people just say things and people believe it. As far as I could tell, there's not much synchronicity other than the age. But there might be one more thing.
Just leaving that out?
For now.
Okay.
What if I told you that there might be an underlying reason for all these deaths at 27?
I would believe you.
You would believe me.
Well, I guess it depends what you say. If you say drug use, I'd be like, yeah, probably. If you say aliens, I'll be like, yeah, maybe. If you say a haunted doll, I'll be like, probably not.
Okay, I'm probably going to say something worse. You haven't thought about the occult yet.
You're right. I haven't.
We're going to go back another 30 years, James.
Oh, thank God. I thought we were getting a little too recent with this.
Let's go back all the way to the 1930s. Have you ever heard of a man named Robert Johnson?
Sounds like a semi-common name. I've probably come across it once or twice.
Robert Johnson was an average guitarist in the 30s. No one special. He used to go down to a bar around where he lived in
Louisiana.
Good guess. Yeah, New Orleans.
I swear this isn't scripted. I'm just really good at guessing.
He would go to the bar and play open mics. And according to the people there, he was awful. Just terrible. People would boo him off the stage, throw beer bottles, scream at him to get out, all these things. And after a few times trying to play at these open mics, he disappeared. And the people thought, finally, we got rid of that terrible guitar player.
Did he go have like a fiddle battle or something, perhaps?
Maybe.
Sorry, do I need to stop guessing? Am I too good at this?
You're really good at this today.
I'm just good at picking up on context clues.
We don't know that yet. This is alleged. A few months later, though, after disappearing, he returned. The people saw him enter the bar. And instantly they were like, oh no, this guy. Back again. Well, it's open mic night. Let him play. When he started playing, it was amazing. His guitar playing was something unfathomable at the time. He didn't just come back with great talent, he came back with a whole new sound. Robert Johnson is credited with creating the sound of blues music and establishing rock and roll. Have you ever heard Robert Johnson's music?
Maybe. I can't say off the top of my head whether I have or haven't.
I'll play you some.
Please do.
I got a kind-hearted woman, anything that's worth for me. I got a kind-hearted woman, anything that's worth for me. But these evil-hearted women, and they will not let me be.
That was Kind-Hearted Woman by Robert Johnson.
I recognize the blues scale.
Yes, you do. Very common scale for guitar. Well, people are wondering, how the hell did he get so good? How could someone go from being so lackluster to so good and innovative so fast? Well, I'll tell you why, James.
I think I know why.
He must have sold his soul to the devil.
To the devil, you say?
Yes, sir. So the legend goes, Robert Johnson went down to the crossroads at the witching hour and met with Satan himself. And Satan offered him amazing guitar abilities, a guitar playing skill unmatched by any mortal. All he asks for in return is his soul.
It's a small price to pay to learn the blues scale.
Inflation.
Times were different back then. That's all they needed.
Well, here's the thing, James.
Yep.
This did work for him. He did get relatively famous. But when you make a deal with the devil, at some point, he will come to collect.
Yes, sir.
Robert Johnson died August 16th, 1938. To this day, the cause of death is still unknown. At the age of 27.
Oh my god. What are the chances?
Who knows? But here's the thing. Robert Johnson, I know it sounds like the blues scale. I'm pretty sure he had a part in making the blues scale. So the scale was never actually invented, but what it is, it's a fusion of Afro-American culture integrated into the pentatonic scale. So when the slaves on plantations and stuff would sing their songs, they would add some notes in it that weren't familiar with Western culture, but were a part of the African pentatonic scale and fused them. And that's what made the blues scale.
Neat.
But to this point, it wasn't played on a guitar like this sort of thing. It was more sung and like in gospel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's why Robert Johnson stood out. Here's the thing. Robert Johnson did not help himself. He did write a lot of songs that were very edgy for the time. Songs like Crossroads and Me and the Devil.
A little on the nose.
A little bit. I'll read you some of the lyrics of this song. Early this morning, when you knocked upon my door. Early this morning, and when you knocked upon my door. And I said, hello, Satan. I believe it's time to go. Me and the devil was walking side by side. Me and the devil was walking side by side. I'm going to beat my woman until I get satisfied.
Sounds like a swell fella.
That's Me and the Devil. He also has Crossroads. I went to the crossroad, fell down on my knees. I went to the crossroad, fell down on my knees. Asked Lord above, have mercy now. Save poor Bob if you please. Standing at the crossroad, tried to flag a ride. I tried to flag a ride, didn't nobody seem to know me. Everybody passed me by. Standing at the crossroad, rising sun going down. Standing at the crossroad, rising sun going down. I believe to my soul now, poor Bob is sinking down. Basically, the whole song is kind of about... Lots of his songs are essences of evil and Satan in them.
Huh.
I know to us, that doesn't seem that extreme. But back in the 1930s, as an African-American guy in the South, that's pretty extreme.
Yeah.
Lots of people begin to think, all these artists that are dying at the young age of 27, they're all a bigger deal than the other artists around them. They all seem to shine a bit brighter. Their talent seems a lot more magnified. What if they did the exact same thing? What if they went down to the crossroads and sold their soul to the devil, and he came to collect when it came time?
That would be something. I assume we have more evidence of these other artists potentially doing that?
No.
Oh.
But some of these artists were interested in witchy and occult stuff. And actually, it was a big thing back in the late 60s. Lots of guys were really into occult stuff. Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin is very well known to be a man who was really into the occult. He followed the practices of Aleister Crowley, once known as the, quote, most wicked man alive, and was a man who started the Book of Law, an old cult back in the early 1900s. Janis Joplin was more of a hippy-dippy person, but she could have been into that sort of thing as well. Jim Morrison was very much into more Native American stuff, but he also dipped his toe in stuff like that as well. He actually did a thing that was a blood sex magic ritual, where they would cut themselves and put it into a goblet and then drink it together with cocaine and then have sex.
They really knew how to party.
that's what you call it, but that is something that he did do. Jimi Hendrix was known for a lot of stuff like that. Lots of these guys were kind of intertwined with witchy stuff. Of course, this is the 60s, and that stuff is definitely seen as taboo already, and they're rock stars doing drugs, so that does not help their image. But all of these things kind of tie together with that. But that seems to be like the only real connection. However, there are connections to different things to people in the 27 Club that we'll get into later.
Well, we have another close call here that I thought I was getting one. We said Mac Miller was, what, 26?
26.
The Rev from Avenged Sevenfold?
28.
28.
Yep.
Still overdosed.
Yeah.
But
his was purposeful. But
another close call.
yes, he was a close call to the 27 Club.
Anyway, sorry, I interrupt.
It's okay, because you brought us back to the modern times.
I did.
Because we do have one more person who joined the 27 Club within the last 15 years.
Who could it be?
Amy Winehouse.
Ooh.
Since we're about the same age, both of us know who Amy Winehouse is.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't, Amy Winehouse was a prominent singer in the late 2000s, known for her powerful voice and iconic look. And like the rest of the people on this list, her star seemed to shine a little brighter. Here's a picture of Amy Winehouse.
That's how I remember her.
Her look, iconic. Her voice, iconic. Stands out, just like the rest of the people in the 27 Club. But also, like everyone else in the 27 Club, she had a lot of issues with substance abuse.
So I've heard.
It began to leak into her performance. Her last show was in Belgrade, Serbia, on June 18th, 2011. And she appeared obviously unwell and struggled to sing. She actually was booed off stage. This is a picture of her last show.
She looks like she's having a bad time in that photo.
She is. And I think a lot of the story is her dad and her boyfriend got her hooked back on drugs, and it went really bad. Unfortunately, this is the last time they saw Amy Winehouse in public in front of anyone performing. She was booed off stage. And a month later, on July 23rd, Amy Winehouse was found dead in her home. Cause of death? Alcohol poisoning. Here's the thing. Remember we talked about synchronicity and possible numbers hooking up?
Mm-hmm.
She died 100 years after the birth of Robert Johnson.
The day?
Not to the day.
Oh.
Very close to the day, but not to the day. Could this be the devil getting his final soul? 100 years of collecting those who dealt with him for the 27 Club. Because since then, no one else has joined. And those are our big six. Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, Brian Jones, and Janis Joplin. Of course, there's many, many others that I've gone over with you.
Yep.
But those are the big ones. What are you thinking about the 27 Club, James? What's on your mind? Do you have any questions?
Well, I mean, the occult stuff is definitely interesting.
Yeah.
But there doesn't seem to be much to it. Like, no secret hand signs and photos from these people or nothing. That's kind of a question. Like, these guys didn't do anything else to really indicate that.
As far as I know, I haven't seen any symbolism.
No references in the music to selling their souls.
Robert Johnson.
Well, I
He
mean,
wrote, like, songs
than, no,
about-
I mean, other than that,
He wrote songs
every song he wrote,
was about
like,
how
that
much
one was a little on the nose.
he literally wrote songs about walking with the devil and beating his
Yes,
wife.
I assumed you thought I wasn't talking about that because that was obvious.
He's like the source of the 27 Club. I mean, Jimi Hendrix has a song called Voodoo Child, but that's about it.
Well, what
As
did you
we've
tell
talked-
me about voodoo the other day?
It's misunderstood.
It's misunderstood.
But otherwise, as far as I know, I'm not too well established with Janis Joplin's catalog. I know a few of her songs. I really like Jimi Hendrix.
But he only had one hit.
He only had one hit, and it wasn't his song. Jim Morrison was more a freak outside of his music. He did write a lot of weird songs about weird stuff. He was a poet, but again, he practiced blood sex magic, which is like occult shit.
Yeah, fair enough.
So there is that. But maybe the curse thing, the occult stuff, isn't what you're buying. And I understand that. What if I told you there could be a tie with conspiracies?
Now you're speaking my language.
Damn right I am, brother. In 1971, President Richard Nixon announced the war on drugs.
And everyone lived happily ever after.
No. Here's the thing. How would you get ready for a war on drugs?
Federal agencies, guns, and a lot of messaging.
Okay. Well, think about this.
Okay.
10 years prior was the Bay of Pigs incident. They tried to do a false flag operation in Cuba, and that went terribly,
So I've heard.
as we all know.
Allegedly, I wasn't there.
I'm glad.
I'm glad too.
I'd ask you a lot of questions if you were.
How did you get there? How did you get back?
I wasn't there. Well, 1971, I think they may have learned from their mistakes. I think they would be a lot more sly about this. About 16 years before, this is when they started doing that thing I told you about. The CIA would spread misinformation throughout the public and through cultural movements to get people on their side.
Yeah.
They would even pay to make different radical groups that actually had no business running with different issues. They would just make them so there would be groups fighting, causing a distraction.
Like the Taliban.
Yes. Actually, there's a lot of things like that. It all goes back to the 1950s with Teddy Roosevelt's grandson, but we won't get into that on another day.
Sounds good.
I think the US government's smarter than people give them credit for. They're a bunch of conniving crooks, but they're intelligent. And here's what I think could have been a possibility. What if these guys killed these people? What if they did it to make an example? Drugs are bad. They kill young people. They kill your heroes. You shouldn't do them. And here's something that might add to it. Before this, lots of the deaths for people in the 27 Club throughout the 50s and early 60s, heart attack, plane crashes, fires, car accidents. All of a sudden in the late 1960s, drug overdose, drug overdose, drug overdose, alcohol poisoning. It changes.
Yeah.
Also, with all four of the big six I told you about in the late 60s, early 1970s,
Mm-hmm.
their records from the coroner are really weird and smudged around. Lots of it's inconsistent. Jim Morrison's body wasn't even shown to the public. He died in his hotel room and no one saw his body leave. Only one doctor went up there.
Do you think the doctor ate him?
That didn't just throw me for a loop, it turned me around. What the fuck? I had to double take on what the fuck did you just say? And why were you so serious? What the? I just wasn't expecting that.
I'm here to ask the hard-hitting questions that everyone else is too afraid to ask.
But if the doctor was a lizard man, similar to a snake,
What else was I supposed to ask? You said no one saw the body leave, but a doctor went up there. Where did it go? Did the doctor leave?
he didn't get eaten. Fuck. So the weird thing about Jim Morrison's death is no one saw the body. There was no coroner's report, or it was inconsistent if there was one. And he didn't get brought back to the United States. He was buried in France. Lots of people think that maybe he didn't die. Maybe Jim Morrison faked his death.
Was it like a closed casket burial in France?
Yes. A lot of people think, a lot of Doors fans think, that Jim Morrison wanted to escape the limelight. He was starting to get into a lot of trouble with police. There was a case allegedly where Jim Morrison flashed his penis at the crowd, and they were trying to put him in jail for indecent exposure. I don't know if you ever watch old videos of Doors shows, but there's cops at every show, and they are grabbing Jim for whatever he's doing. The man was wild. Now, all of the bandmates say Jim did not flash. I think that he was doing he said he was gonna, I think what he said was the quote, "I could flash my penis in front of all of you or something, you would all thank me," or something. Some shit like that.
Down to earth thing to say for sure.
Just a weird thing. It's just him, he was nuts.
I say that at work once and I have to go talk to HR.
It's different. It's 1960s. The rock stars, no cameras. I guess that's just what they do. But I think he like reached down and grabbed himself, and they thought he was whipping it out. The bandmates said he didn't do it.
What did the audience say?
I think some guys
I
said
think there'd be a lot of witnesses one way or another.
some people in the crowd said they saw him do it. Lots of people say they didn't see what was happening because they were fucking high. And I saw some of the interviews with some of the kids that were said they saw this indecent exposure and they were horrified. They did not look like they belonged at a door show. They looked so well kept, and they went out there and they're like, I was horrified at the indecent exposure by Mr. Morrison at the show. And I was like, Fed. I think that's a Fed.
I'll push back on that a little bit.
Okay.
You, when you were in the band, were playing a show one time.
Yes, sir.
I and our friend Ryan showed up to it.
Yeah.
It was a pretty punky show. You weren't the only band playing. There was a few bands playing. It was kind of punky.
Oh, the Canby?
Yeah, the Canby, I think.
Was it when it was a 3-piece or 4-piece?
I don't remember.
Okay.
The point I'm getting at, though, is it was a punky show. There's punky bands playing. Everyone's dressed punk.
Yep.
I wore a pea coat.
Mhm.
I definitely stood out a bit.
Mhm.
So just throwing out there that some people don't necessarily need to look like the shows they're going to.
Yes, I understand that. I don't know exactly what went down in the Miami incident. Some people say they saw it. Some people say they didn't. It's a little inconclusive. So it's kind of like a lot of he said, she said. We only have audio. We don't have any video of the concert. So we don't know. I think there's a few photos of him reaching down, but nothing of anything as far as I know. But maybe this changed in the last few years. But here's the thing, is the important part is, what if he faked his death? Maybe to escape persecution from mainstream media, which is definitely a thing in counterculture artists like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and Jim Morrison. They would take a lot of heat for what they acted like and did in public forums.
It was probably a little easier to do back then.
Definitely.
But you need to also have a lot of people to go along with it.
You would. And some say Jim could do that. Ray Manzarek, the keyboardist for The Doors, said famously, if anyone was going to fake their death, Jim Morrison could. Because he's just weird like that.
Was that unprompted or was that in response to this allegation?
That was in response to people talking about
Okay.
it. He was talking about how he believed when he was alive that Jim faked his death. He fully believed that it happened. Because he's like, we didn't get an open casket. None of us got to see the body. He's like, that's kind of weird. He's like, we were his bandmates. Why didn't we get to see the body to make sure it was him? You know, all that. And they buried him in France. Why didn't they bring him back to the US? Why didn't they bring him back home?
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah. So, just a little strange. Here's the thing, though. Maybe he didn't fake his death to get away. Maybe he faked his death because the operation was a success. What if these big artists were all government plants? Hear me out. The best way to curve the narrative of young people is putting stuff in front of them in pop culture. Would you agree with that?
To a degree, sure.
Let's think about it in the 90s,
Yeah.
80s, 70s.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now we have phones. Best way to change the current narrative is post something online.
Yeah.
That's nowadays. Back then, it's through music, television, and movies.
10 seconds or under.
Exactly. I'll give you a bit of background of how everything was looking back then.
Okay.
We all know that the Vietnam War was political horseshit. Guys just making a war up for stupid ideological reasons and not anything to actually fight for. A lot of guys see it as they wasted their time fighting for nothing
Right.
when they felt that their dads fought for something in World War II.
Yeah.
A lot of people were having troubles at home.
What kind of troubles?
What I mean by that is a lot of things in America were not civil. We had the civil rights movement happening at this time. We had the Vietnam War happening at this time. There's a lot of conflict in the United States. There's a lot of rioting. There's a lot of protests. And there's a lot of artists coming out with protest anthems. This is creating division in the United States. And I know it doesn't sound like a good thing, but oh man, the CIA loves division. They love it when you squabble over shit in our home, because they can distract you while they pass a lot of bullshit that you don't want to learn about. People didn't want to hear music about fun, happy times in their backyard anymore. They didn't want this fun, happy shit anymore. They wanted stuff a little more edgy. They wanted to affect the counterculture. How do you do that? Edgy music, loud music, music that the parents won't like The Doors, like Jimi Hendrix, like Janis Joplin. Music that's a little more in their face. You use that music to rile people up. These people are all very outspoken activists in their community, outspoken people with a lot of very heavy opinions that could sway young people. This could all be used to divide.
What was that song? Ohio by...
Ohio by Crosby, Nash, Stills, and Young.
Yeah. Was that during that time?
Yes, because
The protests with the students.
National Guard shut up a protest,
Yeah.
killed 4 students.
Or did.
And that song was put out within the month, which is very short amount of time.
Too bad the guys that made that song were ancient. Couldn't off them at 27.
They weren't ancient back then.
Sure they were.
And one was Canadian. Let's bring this a little more into the present day. Kurt Cobain, Nirvana. Now, Kurt Cobain was a very outspoken activist. He stood out more than the rest of his pack when it came to the grunge movement. But at the time in the late 80s, early 90s, the pop culture did not fit what America wanted. Hair bands were still a thing. The movies were still the same. Action hero stuff from the 80s. TV shows were the same. Now, the kids, the Gen Xers that had grown up, they didn't think that this was worth this kind of America. They didn't like what they saw in America. They kind of going through what we're going through now. America was in a recession. We went to a war they did not need to be in, the Gulf War. And people were pissed. People were striking. People were mad. There was riots. There was protests. How do you distract them? The sports isn't working. Sports will get the average American to watch and distract himself. But how do you distract the college student? The one that thinks. Music. Movies. TV. Stuff that makes you ponder things. Let's change the scene. Make some grunge music. Get some people out there that dress like them. Make some music that is raw, that isn't pretty, that has pure angst to it. Make them angry. Make them fight for things in the crowd, but that will distract from the fact that we're doing terrible things everywhere else. When the zeitgeist does not fit the culture of America, they change it. It's almost like the illusion of choice. I'm not saying this is fact. Of course it's not. We don't know. But what if it's less the people choosing what they want, creating the new culture, and more the puppets behind everything else changing the culture for them?
Hey, it could be.
I'm a huge wrestling fan.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Wrestling imitates life.
Okay.
Here's what I mean by this. This all ties in. Yes, I'm bringing wrestling into this.
I was wondering when you were going to do that.
Oh, yeah. Bring wrestling to the paranormal show.
Macho Man here to tell you all
Bring
about
the crop circles.
Macho Man here to tell you all about conspiracies. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Let's say the puppeteers are the promoters of the WWF.
WWE?
It used to be the WWF.
Oh, sorry, you're right.
Until the World Wildlife Foundation sued them and won.
Fair. I was going to say, I pictured some pandas in my head and I thought that wasn't it.
In the mid-1990s, they had all these cartoony superstars. Still kind of like the 80s, but a little different. And they were losing money. They weren't edgy anymore. People didn't want to see Hulk Hogan go out there, say your prayers and take your vitamins. They wanted something that matched how angry they were. Here comes along Stone Cold Steve Austin. We love it. He's different. Let's circle around him. Let's make him the center for it. Let's make him a star. He's different. He's angry. He's a Texan. He's pissed off. He swears. He puts his middle finger in the air. That's what they like. Let's do more of that. And then they completely changed the culture of the WWF. It used to be cartoony, fun, loving. Everything was kind of a little childish. And then they completely flipped the script. There was borderline nudity on television every Monday night. Guys are standing on the side of the ropes saying suck it and chopping their crotches. Steve Austin's going on the corners putting his middle fingers in the air and stunning women, using his finishing move and hitting women. That's never been seen before. Now, people love to say, we changed the culture. We turned the tides. We made it different. No, you didn't. The guys behind the scenes did. And you accepted it. Now, what if the government did that, but with everything else?
That's a big what if.
It is. This podcast episode is about the 27 Club.
Right, I'm kind of forgetting that.
That's all I have to say. But there are some ties to the military-industrial complex within the Big Six. For example, Jimi Hendrix was a paratrooper in the early 1960s before he became a guitar player. He was obviously a guitar player in his hobby time before he became famous. Jim Morrison his background, he kept hidden. He would lie about it constantly. And it took some sleuthing from reporters to find out that his family had a big naval background. His mom was public relations for the Navy, and his dad was a high command naval officer. If they weren't tied with a cult, they at least had ties with military. Which is strange to me. Which is a possibility. There is something there that you could possibly link.
Sure. Do you think they agreed to be sacrificed in this way if they were... Do you think they were part of it on purpose?
Either they
or
didn't,
maybe like they were part of the shift, but maybe they didn't know they were going to be whacked at the end.
I think that's more what happened.
Mhm.
Either that or maybe they faked their deaths. Who
Did
knows?
Kurt Cobain have a tie to military?
I don't recall. We'll get back to Kurt here at the end here.
Okay, of course.
But that's just the conspiracy side of things. And
Yeah.
honestly, a lot of that was me sleuthing by myself and putting things together because I was having fun.
Definitely pretty wild. The tie-in with the WWF was fun.
It's what I know. I'm married. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Brooke's a lucky woman.
No, she's not. Let's get away from the conspiracy for a moment.
Okay.
There's a lot of legend around the 27 Club, and a lot has been exaggerated.
They weren't all 27.
No, they were all 27.
Oh, okay. Thank God.
There is a consistent story that anyone will tell you when they bring up the 27 Club, especially in groups of stoners. White Bic lighters. Bad luck. You never use a white Bic lighter. Every single guy who died in the 27 Club was found with a white Bic lighter in his pocket.
Is that true?
No, that's not true.
Okay.
And the reason that's not true is because Bic lighters were not made until 1973.
Well,
Done.
there you have it.
Didn't exist. Most people actually didn't use disposable lighters back then. It was more Zippos and stuff like that. I think Kurt may have had a white lighter. I think that's where that started, because this is where the 27 Club kind of started. But wait. If that's not true, there's at least this. Every single member of the 27 Club was left-handed. And that is the devil's hand.
I have heard that. Were they all left-handed though?
No.
Oh.
There's pictures of Jim Morrison signing autographs with his right hand.
Are there pictures of him signing with his left hand?
As far as I can tell, no. I think it's well known that he was right-handed. I think Kurt Cobain was right-handed but played guitars left-handed. He might have been left-handed all the way, maybe been ambidextrous. No, that is not true. They were all not all left-handed. So that's not true. But wait. There's one more thing.
Another one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
One more thing doesn't mean one last thing.
This might be the last thing.
Oh.
No one could be as good as these people. Not a single person could be as good as these people. These people were like gods. Nothing could match them.
Have you heard of Dragon Force?
I was actually going to bring up Dragon Force. You're on it today.
I think it's all the pain fumes I inhaled earlier.
Makes you psychic.
It makes me something. My head hurts and I'm good at guessing now.
Here's the thing. A lot of it stems from when Robert Johnson all of a sudden got amazing talent, played a show, and everyone was amazed, right? Robert Johnson had a few months to practice.
Yeah, and he learned to scale.
There was no TV back then. He was in a poor part of Louisiana. He got booed off a stage. Maybe he was determined. Started practicing. Also, he was a black man in the South. And a lot of people at these bars didn't really like the black guy playing guitar at their bar.
I could see that.
A lot of it, I think, stems from racism. A black man can't play guitar that well. And then a black man taking influence from like an African pentatonic scale, making blues notes, using the blues pentatonic on a guitar.
Yep.
It might sound alien to people, and people blow it up out of proportion. And the only way a black guy could get that good a guitar is by selling his soul to the devil. I think that's where that stems from.
And the music was just an unfortunate side note.
Maybe he was just into dark stuff. People are into dark stuff, Maybe he knew he was an edgier guy. Maybe he knew what he was for the time. And a lot of other people say, but what about all these people that are so much better than everyone else? Yes and no. Talent can be given at birth. Lots of these people had a lot of pain in their lives, a lot of trauma. Use it to make art. And a lot of these people were struck down in their prime.
Some people are just better.
Some people are just better.
Better artists, better musicians.
Well, here's the thing. Jim Morrison wasn't a great singer when he first started. If you listen to those first demo tapes from The Doors, he was not good. He practiced for years to make himself the way he was. And because he wasn't professionally trained, it made something unique. So it's like how I brought up with you before about other music. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if it's unique, it'll stand out more.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Jim Morrison was.
That's why some of the most well-known singers and bands kind of sound bad, but they're different.
And it works for what they're doing.
Yeah. All punk music, for example.
Great example.
If you isolated any one of those people just singing, you'd be like, that's awful.
Listen to The Clash. The guy can't sing, but they make good music.
Yeah.
Same with Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix at the time was considered an unorthodox musician. It was considered actually not that great to some people above the age of 30.
Was it unorthodox before or after he put his tongue on the guitar?
He kind of always did that. He also lit his guitar on fire. He did a lot of cool shit. But I think people just didn't understand it. And, you know, if he's different, it doesn't necessarily mean he's better. People might look at him like he is. Kurt Cobain, Nirvana. Nothing else sounds like Nirvana. Well, things do. And I'll tell you what it is. 60s surf pop. Kurt Cobain kept it secret, but he loved 50s, 60s pop. And what he did is he infused pop sound and formula with heavy riff guitars. What he did was he took punk and gave it a hook, and that's made a mainstream sound, which isn't really innovative, but it is a great combination of stuff that he made himself. He took a lot from a lot of things to make his sound.
Yeah.
Lots of other punk bands at the time did not believe in doing hooks because that's mainstream. Kurt Cobain said, hooks catch the ear. It's better to have a catchy song that catches the ear than to have a song that goes 6 minutes with no hook. So he basically was just smart in that way.
Not very punk, if you ask me.
He kept it secret for that reason. He did not like the fact that punkers are going to gatekeep and be like, that's not very punk, man. Pretty punk what he did, actually. He went against the punks.
That's the punkiest thing you could do.
Go against the punks and make your own sound with pop formulas and loud guitars.
He's like a hipster squared.
Yeah. And here's one last thing that might put this home.
Okay, I'm ready.
How come more musicians die at 27? They don't.
There's a lot of musicians.
Actually, statistically,
A lot of them probably live full, happy lives.
no, actually, no.
Oh.
No, lots of them do die younger. But the age of death you should be scared of,
35.
56. That is actually the most common number for musician deaths is 56.
56.
56.
The 56 Club. What are some big names that died at 56?
James Brown,
James Brown.
Sinead O'Connor, Linda McCartney, Warren Zevon, the man who wrote the song Werewolves in London, also dead at 56. Billy Powell, keyboard player with Leonard Skinner, dead at 56. It goes on and on and on. That is actually the more common age to die if you are a musician.
Well, you learn something every day.
Yes. Honestly, the 27 Club can be pretty well explained. And I think it might be conclusion time. All right, James. Today, on our case of the 27 Club, we have several artists being struck down to their prime at the age of 27. We have the legend tied to them of Robert Johnson selling his soul and the devil collecting once the age of 27 hits. We have possible government ties to the Big Four in the late 60s to early 70s, and the possible conspiracy that deaths were faked to control the narrative. But with all that, on our scale from 1 to 5, 1, I'm an idiot. 2, you're skeptical. 3, you're on the fence. 4, there's something strange here. 5, there is possible occult and CIA ties to the 27 Club. What do you come down to today?
It's all been leading up to this.
5, the Dr. A. Jim Morrison.
5.5 the Dr. A. Jim Morrison. Today, Jake, I think I come down to I started to say I think I'm around a 2 today. Maybe a 2.5.
2.5?
Maybe. Like in between 2 and a 2.5.
Okay.
You know, I'm a wishy-washy person. I hate giving solid answers, so I'm going to go between 2 and 2.5.
I don't necessarily blame you. I did give you a lot of hearsay and dead people, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, we were definitely all over the place with theories.
Dr. ate him. Dr. ate him.
I would love to believe that the government's involved just because, you know, they're involved in everything, and so why not that too? But they're just spaced out weird. There's just coincidences, and coincidences do exist.
They do.
And let's be honest, there's quite a few people who are more talented than some of these folk, and they didn't die at 27.
This is true. And also, I think a part of it is these people died at 27, so they are forever frozen in time as the height of their popularity at the age of 27. They don't age ever.
Yeah, and with so many drug overdoses, that just kind of happens. When you're at the height of your popularity, and you're partying as hard as ever, and you're doing drugs harder than you've ever done before, you're probably going to lose a couple people.
Unfortunately, that is true.
Now, what we didn't get into, and I'm curious why, is didn't Kurt Cobain's girlfriend or whatever kill him?
That's for another episode. Thank you for listening, everybody. I couldn't get James over the fence this week, but got him close to it at least. Maybe, probably not. He's just being nice.
Might be a little nice this week.
If you like what we're doing here, you can follow us on all of our socials, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok for case photos and updates. The link is in the description of every episode. In the show notes today, I'll even put some links to Robert Johnson's music if you want to hear his stuff. If you enjoy what we're doing, rate and follow on Spotify. It goes a long way. Or subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon, wherever you are listening. Also, share with your friends. Word of mouth is the best advertisement, and it is free. If you have any case suggestions, or if I missed anything, please email us at darkdosandpod@gmail.com. With that, James, any words to the wise?
If you're a young, aspiring musician, maybe hold off on taking hits from the Kurt Cobain until you're at least 28.
Wise words from a wiser man. Thank you for listening, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.